Beneath the Baltic Sea, nearly 200 kilometers of steel pipeline carried the energy that powered a continent. For years, Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 had made Europe dependent on Russian natural gas. Then, in a single night, both pipelines were gone. The Nord Stream pipelines were the most politically sensitive energy infrastructure in the world. They had survived sanctions, diplomatic pressure, and the outbreak of war in Ukraine. By September 2022, Nord Stream 2 was already frozen, never certified to operate. But Nord Stream 1 was still pumping gas. On the 24th of February 2022, Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Europe immediately began looking for alternatives to Russian gas. The pipelines became a pressure point unlike any other, simultaneously a weapon, a hostage, and a liability. At a depth of between 70 and 80 meters beneath the Baltic Sea, the pipelines lay in near silence. On the 26th of September 2022, seismologists across Scandinavia detected something unusual. Not an earthquake. Not a natural event. Two distinct explosions, hours apart. The Swedish National Seismic Network recorded the first explosion at 2:03 in the morning. The second detonation followed at 7:04 p.m. that same evening. The readings were equivalent to hundreds of kilograms of explosives, powerful enough to rupture reinforced steel pipe 1 meter in diameter. The explosions tore open 4 separate ruptures across both pipelines. Millions of cubic meters of methane gas began venting directly into the Baltic Sea. Danish and Swedish authorities immediately declared exclusion zones. The energy supply to Europe had been severed in a single night. Within hours, NATO issued a statement calling the explosions deliberate acts of sabotage. Germany, Sweden, and Denmark launched parallel criminal investigations. The question on every government's mind was the same: who had the motive, the capability, and the access? Military divers from Sweden, Denmark, and Germany were dispatched to the blast sites. What they found confirmed the worst. The damage was not accidental. The cuts were precise. The placement of the explosions indicated detailed knowledge of the pipeline's exact construction. 3 primary suspects emerged. Russia, with the clearest motivation, having used energy as a geopolitical weapon for years. The United States, with reported prior knowledge of pipeline vulnerabilities and a stated desire to end European dependence on Russian gas. And a pro-Ukrainian group operating with Western knowledge or support. Sweden concluded its investigation in February 2024 and closed it. No suspects named. No charges filed. Denmark closed its own investigation months later, citing jurisdictional limitations. Germany's investigation was also suspended. The most significant act of infrastructure sabotage in European history had produced 0 official answers. In February 2023, veteran investigative journalist Seymour Hersh published a detailed account claiming that U.S. Navy divers had planted the explosives during a NATO exercise in June 2022 on direct orders from the White House. The Biden administration denied the report completely. No other major outlet independently confirmed his source. In 2023, German media outlets reported a separate theory: that a rented sailing yacht called the Andromeda had been used to transport equipment and divers to the blast sites. The boat had been rented by a Ukrainian national with ties to Ukrainian military intelligence. The investigation into this angle was also inconclusive. The consequences extended far beyond the pipelines themselves. European gas prices surged to record highs. Germany, the continent's largest economy, entered an energy crisis that accelerated the deindustrialization of its manufacturing sector. Russia lost billions in annual gas revenue. Everyone paid a price. More than 2 years after the explosions, the pipelines remain on the seabed, broken, silent, and unrepaired. 3 nations conducted criminal investigations. 3 nations closed them without result. Whoever gave the order to destroy the most important energy infrastructure in European history has never been named. The investigation produced a paradox that intelligence analysts call a too many suspects scenario. Every major power had motive. Several had capability. And the political cost of formally accusing any of them, Russia, the United States, or a NATO-aligned proxy, was too high for any European government to bear. The Nord Stream pipelines lie where they fell. The gas has long since dispersed. the methane is gone. What remains is the question: